and he didn't want to see it because of obvious things. And I understood.
Of course, of
Yes.
course. But how was that?
Hello, and best wishes to you. They were once considered one of Hollywood's few enduring couples, overcoming illness, accidents, and the dark side of fame. So why did Ann-Margret admit the real reason for her divorce from Roger Smith? What is behind the curtain of their 50-year marriage that has left many people speechless? Let's discover the never-before-revealed truth in this seemingly unbreakable love story. The real reason. Beneath the glitter of a half-century Hollywood marriage was a story of emotional transformation that Ann-Margret herself called a divorce. Not on paper, but in the way they loved and supported each other over time. When Ann-Margret and Roger Smith married in 1967 in a simple civil ceremony in Las Vegas, there were no fancy gowns or distinguished guests. It was not a celebrity's dream wedding, but it was the beginning of a relationship that would endure. In an industry where breakups come and go as quickly as the spotlight, they endured 50 years of turmoil, both personal and mutual. Smith gave up a promising acting career to become Ann-Margret's manager and advocate. Nothing mattered more to him than keeping their family together. "I think that the more talented person should not give up their career," he once said. And Ann-Margret, who describes herself as dependent, lived for many years in that loving embrace. But things began to change in the 1980s, when Roger Smith was diagnosed with myasthenia gravis, a rare neuromuscular disease that severely affects health and fitness. At that point, the roles in the relationship began to reverse. From being dependent, Ann-Margret became the caregiver. She made all the decisions, arranged all the schedules, and devoted all her time to caring for her increasingly frail husband. "Gradually, I became a different woman inside," she said. The dependent, shy Ann-Margret disappeared out of necessity. For her, it was a divorce, not a separation, but a renunciation of a role, an old self, to become more mature, stronger for the person she loved. The miracle was not that they avoided challenges, but how they held each other through them. Ann-Margret suffered a serious accident when she fell 20 feet during a performance in 1972, requiring a series of surgeries to recover. She also struggled with drug addiction. But Roger Smith was always by her side, quiet, steadfast, never far away. When the roles were reversed, Ann-Margret did not run away. She cancelled many projects, turned down many opportunities just to be by Smith's side, taking care of him with every meal, every little gesture. "If one of you breaks a wing, the other will take over," she said. It was a simple but profound philosophy about marriage. It's not about who is stronger, but who is more steadfast in love. Roger Smith passed away in 2017, closing a loving chapter but not the end of their story. Ann-Margret didn't see it as the end. "For me, a great love story doesn't end with death. You carry their spirit with you." She still speaks fondly of him as an integral part of her life today. She misses Roger, a close friend once said, but most of all, she misses the life they created together. For Ann-Margret, he was key to getting through it all. "We laughed at ourselves," she once said. "If you can't laugh at yourself, you're in trouble." The touching story of Ann-Margret and Roger Smith shows us that behind a long-lasting marriage are not always sweet moments, but also profound changes in the face of illness, responsibility, and changing roles in the relationship. But if love is strong enough, all challenges can turn into strength. So in the glamorous entertainment world, where the pressure of fame and the spotlight are always present, what challenges will marriage face? And is love still strong enough to stand amid the expectations and storms of fame? Marriage, fame, and the strain. On May 8, 1967, Ann-Margret, a glamorous Hollywood starlet, married actor and singer Roger Smith in a ceremony that was not as lavish or glamorous as one might expect from a movie star. Instead, they secretly eloped to Las Vegas and wed in a smoke-filled room at the Riviera Hotel. The bride, wearing a white piqué minidress and billowing shorts, cried throughout the ceremony. I think everyone thought I was pregnant because I was crying so much. But the truth is, I was crying because of the emotion and the things that were not yet complete in my heart, Ann-Margret later confessed. Notably, the wedding took place just days after the couple had ended previous relationships. Ann-Margret's parents even objected to the marriage because Smith had not yet divorced his ex-wife, Australian actress Victoria Shaw. Smith had 3 children from a previous marriage, a fact that made their new life together difficult. But despite all the obstacles and public opinion, Ann-Margret and Roger Smith entered married life determined not to let fame or gossip tear them apart. After their wedding, the couple bought a house in Los Angeles and lived there for nearly 50 years. They were not only husband and wife, but also close companions and collaborators in life and career. We were together day and night. We loved each other and were always together, Ann-Margret shared in an interview. The separations due to filming schedules, especially long trips to Italy, left both of them feeling a distinct sense of loss. Roger once said, "The first time in my life I felt happy was when I met Ann-Margret, and I realized that I couldn't live without her." So Smith made what many considered a huge sacrifice. He gave up his burgeoning acting career to become his wife's full-time manager. In Hollywood, where egos often come first, this was a courageous and loving choice. Smith believed that Ann-Margret was the more talented one, and she should continue to shine. Under his management, Ann-Margret's career not only remained stable but also flourished, with deeper and more artistic roles, most notably her role in Carnal Knowledge, a role that helped her become recognized as a talented actress, not just a sex symbol. Financially, Smith was also a wise helmsman. With his shrewd management skills, he helped Ann-Margret pay off all her debts in just 2 years, a feat that few people in Hollywood could accomplish. Although they had no children together, Ann-Margret nurtured her relationship with Smith's 3 stepchildren as if they were her own. She kept in touch regularly, chatting via Zoom, and became a doting grandmother. The home they shared remained her home, a treasured memory, until Roger Smith died in 2017. Behind the glamour, does fame always come with sacrifices in love and marriage? In the entertainment world, where busy schedules, public scrutiny, and the pressure to succeed are ever present, is love still strong enough to overcome it all? Do celebrity couples always have to choose between their careers and their personal lives? Or can they still find balance if they trust and respect each other enough? The hidden struggles. Under the spotlight of fame and stage glamour, Ann-Margret and Roger Smith's relationship was more than just a typical Hollywood romance. It was a deep bond that endured the devastating events of life, from serious accidents to chronic illness, to the pain of not being able to become parents. Behind the bright smiles and stage lights was a story of strength, sacrifice, and absolute loyalty. On the evening of September 10, 1972, while Ann-Margret was performing at the Sahara Tahoe Hotel, a terrible accident occurred. She fell about 22 feet, nearly 7 meters, from a platform behind the stage onto the hard floor below. The fall left her with a broken left arm, broken cheekbones and jaw, and other serious soft tissue injuries. The incident happened so suddenly that onlookers thought it was part of the performance until screams of pain rang out from backstage. Roger Smith was in Burbank, California, when he heard the news. Desperate to find a commercial flight in time, he reportedly flew a private plane, some say borrowed from a friend, to be with her. Despite the regulations and the dangers, the act showed his intense love and determination for his wife. Ann-Margret underwent hours of reconstructive surgery, with metal plates and wires used to fix her face. Her mouth was sewn shut during her recovery, forcing her to eat only liquids through a straw. Throughout this time, Smith remained by her side, even ordering her assistants to carry wire cutters whenever she left the house, in case of an emergency involving medical equipment. Just 10 weeks later, defying all doctors' predictions, Ann-Margret returned to the stage, stunning audiences and professionals alike with her near-perfect recovery. It was a testament not only to her steely resolve, but also to the unconditional love and care from Smith that was integral to her journey back. Few people know that while Margaret was battling her injuries, Smith himself was quietly struggling with myasthenia gravis, a rare neuromuscular disorder that causes muscle weakness due to a disruption in nerve signals. He was diagnosed in 1965, a few years before his wife's accident, but the condition worsened over time, forcing him to withdraw from acting and shift entirely to her manager. From being a husband and career guide, Smith gradually became physically dependent on Ann-Margret. In his final years, he was confined to a wheelchair, requiring assistance with daily activities. And Ann-Margret, once the public icon of gentleness and dependence, has now become the spiritual and material pillar of the family. I used to be the one who needed him, but then I learned to stand firm because there was no other choice. If one of us breaks our wings, the other will fly for us, she shared in a rare moment of talking about her private life. One of their deepest sorrows was their inability to have children together. For years, Ann-Margret quietly underwent fertility treatments, including in vitro fertilization, still a rarity in the 1970s and 1980s. But none of them worked. By 1985, she had spoken publicly about her feelings. If I were meant to have children, I would have had them. I had to learn to accept that. However, her role as stepmother to Smith's 3 children from a previous marriage, Tracy, Jordan, and Dallas, became a prominent part of her life. Although she once joked about being a wicked stepmother of the West, Ann-Margret tried to cultivate a loving relationship with her stepchildren. According to close friends, she regularly talked, met, and kept in touch with them via phone or Zoom, especially after Smith passed away in 2017. More proudly, 2 of her 3 children became doctors, which she considered a spiritual achievement. Many people once thought that Ann-Margret, with her sexy looks and feminine demeanor, would always need a strong man by her side to protect her. But it was the years of caring for Smith, overcoming personal events, and supporting the family that transformed her into a stronger, more mature version of herself. "The shy, dependent Ann-Margret is gone," she once said in an interview. "I am a different woman now, not because I wanted to be, but because circumstances demanded it." Even though their careers took them to the top, it was the quiet love, resilience, and unwavering loyalty that made the marriage between Ann-Margret and Roger Smith one of Hollywood's most admirable love stories after Smith's death. When Roger Smith took his last breath in 2017, after years of battling myasthenia gravis, Ann-Margret lost not only her husband, but also her companion, manager, and confidant, who had been with her through all the ups and downs of life. After more than half a century of togetherness, his passing left an indelible void in her. In the rare times she spoke of Roger afterwards, Ann-Margret could not hide her emotions. "I lost a part of my soul, but I know he is always with me." Ann-Margret continued to live in the house in Los Angeles that they bought together in 1968, a place filled with memories of love and also a peaceful place for her to reminisce and preserve the past. She never remarried. For her, Roger was her only and eternal love. Despite her advancing age, Ann-Margret is not defeated by time. At 80+, she still appears with her signature red hair, sparkling eyes, and charming demeanor that has captivated audiences for generations. Although she no longer appears as frequently as before, she still occasionally accepts invitations to participate in special roles, as a gentle reminder that the artistic flame in me has never been extinguished. In 2021, at the age of 79, she appeared in the movie Queen Bees alongside veteran names such as Ellen Burstyn and James Caan, making a strong impression with her grace and ageless temperament. The movie is a subtle tribute to the generation of veteran artists, and Ann-Margret, once again, becomes living proof of timeless beauty. Beyond film, she has also been involved in many charitable activities, especially caring for veterans, a gesture that stems from her affection for soldiers during the Vietnam War. In 2021, she was awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor in recognition of her touching and sincere contributions. "They are the real heroes," she once said with tears in her eyes. Ann-Margret still maintains the habit of talking via Zoom with Roger's stepchildren, whom she considers her children. She still throws small parties, still drives around Beverly Hills on her beloved Harley-Davidson. She was one of the few Hollywood actresses with a passion for big motorcycles. Although she sometimes faces loneliness, she has never complained. "I have lived a wonderful life," she said in a recent interview. "I have loved deeply, been loved completely, and have so much to be grateful for." Although age may have slowed her pace, Ann-Margret's heart still beats with love for life, for art, and for her late husband. In every glance, every story, every role, one can still see the image of the woman of yesteryear, the one who once swayed Hollywood with her wild charm and now makes the world bow before the beauty of loyalty, resilience, and a heart that never grows old. What do you think Helen Margaret overcame loss, pain, and challenges to live such a proud and fulfilling life? If it were you, how would you preserve love after loss? Please share your thoughts in the comments section below. We would love to hear from you. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more interesting updates. Thank you and see you in the next videos.